Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this evening session of Diet for Children. And it's humbling to welcome our guest for today, Miss Abhilasha V, who is a dietitian. So she's done her PG post graduation course in diploma in dietetics and clinical nutrition from Manipal University, and she has various certifications to enhance her skills, one in pediatric nutrition, another in public health nutrition. Also, she has a certification in MyCan, which includes maternal, infant, young child, and adolescent nutrition. And also, she has a certification course in ketogenic diet therapy in refractory epilepsy. And in total, she has had 15 years of experience working in various hospitals, including Columbia Asia, Cloud9 Group, and currently working in Manipal. So, welcome to the session. Welcome to everybody. And without any delays, let us start. Over to you, Ms. Akhilash.
Thank you so much, ma'am. A very good evening to everyone who's taken time out for my session today. And thank you, Brainchild Trust, for the opportunity given to me to present a interesting topic and a relevant one. So I will be taking all of you through the presentation that I have here. I'll explain all the slides in detail and give you a lot of tips on kids' nutrition and how to make them eat healthier, how to tackle problems with picky eating. We'll go through all of that, and at the end of the session, we'll keep a little time out for question answers also. So ma'am and me will coordinate on that towards the end. So let's get started. So diet for children and the gut brain connection. So moving to the first part. So just going to the next slide. I hope it's visible to everybody. Ma'am, is the slide visible?
The intro slide is still, yes, now it changed.
Oh, okay. All right.
It
That's
is
great.
changing, yes.
Okay, thank you. So, how I have made this presentation easy to understand for all of you. The first half of it would be about how to balance the diet, what food groups, how do we make choices. The second half of it would be about the gut brain connection and the gut microbiome. So, going to the first part of today's session. So, starting with the basics, I'm sure all the attendees today have definitely heard of the food guide pyramid, and it is something that in our practice we will definitely be seeing one time or the other. So let me just explain in very simple language how we translate this into daily diet intake. So basically, a food guide pyramid will contain all the food items that all of us should eat in a structured manner, like more of something, less of something, moderate amounts of something. So we will go in order. I will start from the base of the pyramid to explain to all of you. Starting with the base of the pyramid is what you see as the grain or the carbs category, which is essential as it is a major energy giver. And what we usually advise parents of children is as much of variety as you can rotate, it would be better. So instead of having a wheat based consistent diet or a rice based consistent diet, if we can rotate from oats to millets to wheat to rice to quinoa, any new grains that are available as well. It would be really beneficial, especially from a perspective of getting good type of fiber into the diet and also the B complex vitamins into their diet. So the best method is make sure every meal has a little bit of carb so that there is steady energy supply throughout the day for the child. So children, unless specified to be on a low carb diet, for regular growing up, for regular growth and development, carbs are essential in all the meals. Unless a child is on ketogenic diet, we don't need to avoid carbs. Okay, coming to the next part of the pyramid, if we go a little higher, so you see the fruits and vegetables category. Now, this has become very important in today's world where we are surrounded by ultra processed foods, packaged foods. So, it is important that we go back to basics of having a wide variety of vegetables and a wide variety of fruit. Now, if I have to split this into simple two categories and explain what to give your child in each of it, let's start with the fruit first. So, I usually tell parents that a child who is growing up definitely requires one citrus fruit a day and one non-citrus fruit a day. So what I mean by citrus fruit is it can be amla, it can be guava, orange, kiwi, pineapple, mosambi, grapes if it is in season. One small portion of vitamin C every day because the body cannot produce vitamin C. It has to be supplemented through the diet. That's one. Second category is any seasonal fruits that's available around you. It can be mangoes, jackfruit, banana, dragon fruit, jamun fruit, anything. So minimum two fruits a day is what we expect children to have in their diet. Okay. Coming to the vegetable category. So for children, what we usually advise is that there should be at least little bit of green leafy in their diet, minimum 4 5 times a week. Like when they're much younger in the 1 to 3 age group, we recommend even daily a small portion of green leaf because at that point the folic acid and the iron and the fiber is important. As they grow up, even 4 5 times a week should be good of green leafy. And green leafy contains everything that is available locally. That can be your drumstick leaves, methi, palak. It can be any region-specific, suppu that you get. It can be the sapsige suppu. It can be the batua in the north, and northeast has a lot more varieties. So anything that is dark green leafy. Cabbage would not come in this category. Lettuce would not come in dark green leafy category. So there we segregate. So one leafy for sure. The second one is a root vegetable. So root vegetable can be anything like your carrot, beetroot, potato, sweet potato to be included. Third one is anything else apart from these two root and leafy category. That can be your gourds and broccoli, cauliflower, all varieties of beans to be included. So what we say is try to give at least 2 or 3 portions, which is approximately 100 to 200 gram of veggies a day for the children, because if they don't take sufficient fiber, it can lead to issues like constipation, gut motility being little low. So fiber becomes really essential. And not only that, a host of nutrients, micronutrients like vitamins and minerals come from this category. Okay, so that's about the fruits and vegetables. Now going up to the next category. So when I say meat group, I can also talk about the plant sources. It's not just meat group, it's a veg and non-veg sources of protein. So if I have to talk about the veg sources, all your dals and sprouts and chana, rajma, lobia, all the whole pulses come in that category, including things like soya products, tofu. So that can be included in vegetarian diets. So the thumb rule is every meal should have a little bit of protein. So breakfast, lunch, dinner should have a little bit. For example, if you are having idli or dosa in the morning, there can be sambar for the protein. Afternoon, if there's dal. Night, let's say there's a tofu curry or a soya bean curry, then we are sure that 3 times a day we have provided protein for the child. Okay, and coming to the non-veg category, what we usually recommend is one egg a day is safe to consume for children. Unless a child is allergic, there is no need to avoid. So, for example, a whole egg with the yellow can be given to growing children after 1 year onwards. One egg a day can be given safely with the yolk. There's nothing to worry about weight gain, fat, cholesterol, all those myths that we have around. Egg is what we call as nature's multivitamin. So you can provide one egg every day to your child. And non-veg sources can be preferably, lean meat like lean white chicken without skin, fish, healthy fish options. Red meat to some extent, if the fat is removed, it's safe, no problem. As long as we don't deep fry it and serve it to the children, there's nothing to worry. Make sure it's in a nice grilled form or a steamed or a curry or a pressure cooked form so that all the nutrients are preserved. And it's easier to digest also. So that's one thing. And in this protein sources for non-vegetarians, one more point I would like to mention is for fish eating category. So here we say anything rich in omega-3, so like sardines, anchovies, salmon, these fish are really important for the eyesight and brain development of children. So we usually recommend omega-3 fish for families that give children fish to eat at least once or twice a week. So that's an additional information. Now coming to the top left part of the food guide pyramid, the dairy products. So unless a child has a cow milk allergy or a lactose issue, we don't need to restrict. So we can give preferably full fat dairy in the first 3 years, like first birthday to third birthday. We say first 3 years, please give full fat dairy. After that, you can move to toned or double toned. No need to put the children on slim milk or toned milk immediately. They can benefit from the healthy fat in the initial years, unless there is a obesity issue or a severe weight gain issue. Then, of course, the approach varies case to case. So here what we recommend is a combination of milk, curd, paneer, all put together. We need to give at least 2 to 3 portions a day. So a portion is roughly about 80 to 100 ml, or if it's a hung curd or thick curd, 80 to 100 gram. So we say at least 2 3 portions a day for children above 1 year till they grow up. It is essential because this is the time that the bones are growing, and also the time they require additional fat and healthy protein. So this is a good source which gives all three. Okay, coming to the top part of the food guide pyramid. So this is what we call as others. So ideally, I would put fats and sugars there. Okay, the junk is the least advised thing by an addition to anybody. So if it is sugars, now we all know that we have healthier alternatives in the market, like we have monk fruit syrup, we have palm jaggery, things that are slightly better than refined sugar. Even things like date syrup, date palm sugar, those are better than giving white sugar to children. Okay, so as per the age goes up, initially start with 1 or 2 teaspoons, then later it can go up to 3, 4. But in cases where children are on low carb diet, strictly then this category gets eliminated. Okay, but in a regular healthy growing child, we expect just about 2 3 teaspoon of usage of either, the date sugar or the what do you say, date syrup, date sugar, any form of it is okay. Coming to fats, now this is an area that I would like to advise parents who are attending today, that fats have to be well balanced. So here, as per the latest studies and research, what all of us are recommending as a fraternity of dietitians is cold pressed, wood pressed oil. So it's something like going back to the basics, to our ancient science of how the cold press, wood press oils are very good for the overall development, the brain health, the neuron health, the nerve health. Because when we start using too much of refined oil with solvents added during processing, it can drive a lot of inflammation in the system for children as well as for adults. So it is highly recommended to focus more on cold press, wood press oils. You can do a rotation. There's nothing like only one oil is the best oil. There's nothing like that. You can use any cold pressed oil from the region you come from. So if you're comfortable with groundnut, coconut, mustard, gingerly, anything that's wood pressed can be used, and it can even be rotated. So you can even at a given point keep, at least 1 or 2 different types of oils at home, and maybe gravy can be in one, the dry palya or sabji can be made in the other oil. You can do a rotation that benefits everybody in the household. So that's an important advice. And for growing children, unsalted butter, little bit of healthy cheese, low sodium, and even ghee is essential. They benefit from it. So children can have, unlike adults, we all go easy on ghee and butter, but children, when they're growing, it definitely benefits them. So you can, especially if any of the parents here who are attending are making homemade ghee, nothing like it. That's the best way to go forward. Okay. So that's about the food guide pyramid. So everything that we talk about as foods come into this category. And now you may ask me where the dry fruits, nuts, and seeds come. So the nuts and seeds would come primarily in the plant protein category. So limited amounts, like a handful a day of nuts, 1 or 2 teaspoon of assorted seeds, flax, chia, pumpkin, can be used for children on a daily basis. It is very good for their overall growth and development. Dried fruits, as the name suggests, it clearly says dried fruit. That means the moisture is out. What is left behind is largely concentrated amount of sugar. So little bit is okay. Like I said in the date syrup, date sugar, that category it's okay, but not to be given in excess amounts because that will also add a lot of unnecessary calories. So in limited amounts, dried fruits are okay for children, not in excess amounts. Okay, so that's about the entire food groups and how much to give and how often to give. So, when I meet parents in the pediatric OPD, what I usually recommend is, more than us worrying about how much quantity, we should ask ourselves, are we giving all the food groups every day? Is my child getting all the food groups on a daily basis? That is a far more important question than the volume or quantity consumed, because volume and quantity will vary from age to age, especially in toddler age. As per their small tummy capacity, it will be small bites throughout the day, but as they grow they can have more quantities. So variety, quality is more important in the initial years, and later it builds up automatically the amounts, because they will have an appetite, they will be doing a lot more activities, they will ask for food more as they grow older and older. Okay, so that's about the food guide pyramid. Now fluid intake for children. So we would have a rough guideline that we utilize in our practice. So as per the weight of the child, this is roughly what we advise parents to give. So for example, a child at around 1 year of age would be somewhere between, let's say, 8 kgs to 10 kgs, approximately an average Indian child. So that child should be getting at least 800 to 1000 ml of fluids a day. And in this, water itself can be 500 ml at least minimum. Okay, so this is important. And based on how the color of the urine is, or are they struggling with constipation, we can always increase the amount of fluids based on need to need basis. Okay, so this is a rough idea fluid intake for children. Okay, moving ahead. Now, yes, so healthy eating habits begin at home. Okay, this is really important for all of us to understand that everything a child knows about food, what to eat, where to eat, how to eat, whether it's distracted feeding, whether it is, fully focused feeding, everything is taught when they are, weaned off, like starting solids basically at 6 months. From then it starts, right? So it begins at home definitely. Later, when they grow up, yes, they go to school, healthy eating habits are reinforced. But when they are here with us, what all should we do as a family to support a child to eat healthy? One is, of course, we have to establish healthy eating habits, which has a good schedule, fixed meal timings, places where the child is sitting and eating to be fixed. That's one. Second thing is, children should also understand the importance of healthy eating. Why is this vegetable good for you? Why is water good for you? What will happen if you eat a fruit? It's really important to understand why they need to eat what they're eating. Positive reinforcement, as we call it. Then the other thing is, we ourselves have to set a good example. So if we are very fussy about food in front of the children, they are going to make a note of it and probably say it to us at a later point. So we have to be very, open to trying more varieties and more balanced foods rather than restricting our intake, because that's exactly what the child would imitate. So that, as you see, the fourth point clearly says, try not to be fussy yourself. Okay, and we have to offer a wide variety of foods. See, whether the child rejects few times or makes faces, that's okay. Our duty as parents or caregivers is to offer a wide variety so that they are exposed to all fruits, all vegetables, all grains. And research says that we have to try at least 10 to 15 times a particular food again and again and again before we give up saying my child doesn't like it. So the first time you offer something, the child doesn't like it, we don't need to stop trying or giving that food. We can reintroduce it a couple of days later in a different combination, in a different form. We should not, because when we do that, if one or two times we give a food and then we completely stop offering because the child was not in a probable good mood in that meal, then we're going to reduce the number of options a child would be uh, exposed to, and that can lead to severe fussy eating behavior. So please continue to offer a variety. Let it not be restricted. And the other thing is, eat together. This has a lot of benefits. So in my subsequent slides, when we go ahead, I will show you it has a lot of research. There are a lot of research done on family meal times, eating together, which is very good for physical and mental health of children. And we say that involve the children, cook simple things together. If you're putting together a salad, or you're kneading the atta dough, or you are making a simple dosa, take the child of the help of the child, because what happens is when they come forward and they are involved in the process of helping or assisting, then they are more eager or excited to eat the end goal, the end result of the dish. They are like, I also cut the tomatoes for this, or I also mix the batter. So they are more eager to eat that particular dish. So that improves eating habits also. We have seen when we consistently observe children. Okay. Next thing is, okay, now mealtime battles is something I think if there are parents, especially of toddlers and school age children, like mostly, we see these mealtime battles going on from first year to about 5, 6 years, sometimes beyond that, but more common and prevalent in this particular age group. So, what we say here is that how do we prevent? So, there are some tips which I'll take you through. First is, as parents, we need to, respect the child's appetite. So basically, we need to make sure that if the child is hungry, okay, we give them what they want. But if someday they are not feeling very, you know, hungry, they are full, they are fussy, better not to force feed the child. It is not good to force feed the child. That is important because young children, when they're growing up, they're exploring the environment, they're running around, they're moving around. They may not really be so focused or interested to only eat. They have a lot of things to explore. So if the child isn't hungry at that specific time schedule, try for about 15-20 minutes, set the plate. The child not eating, pushing, throwing, watch only for about 20 minutes. If not happening, don't force. Let the child go play whatever you've scheduled for the next couple of hours, and then you can offer after 2 hours a snack or the meal that is planned next. Okay, so this is important. Like I have highlighted, do not bribe or force your child. Okay, next is stick to a routine. So when the brain is developing at a young age, they adapt to routines and schedules very well. So we say that have a predictable pattern every day, like breakfast at the same time, snack at the same time, lunch. If there's too much of variation, like if it's a household where one day you have breakfast at 8, one day at 11, that's going to really confuse the developing brain of the child. So if there is predictability, they adapt better. Even the body signals, the hunger signals up to the brain, all set into a regular pattern. I think most of us also, when we have a fixed routine, every day we eat breakfast at 8 or lunch at 1, automatically the body starts signaling the hunger call, right? So same thing for children. Okay, and try not to give any junk or snacks or too much of liquids 1 hour before the three major meals, because then they get really full and they might not really have an appetite for the main meal that you have planned. So that's another way to prevent a battle at the meal time. Okay, another tip is we have to be very patient with new food. So that's what I was saying initially, that at least 15 times repeated exposure of a new food we need to keep trying before it's accepted. Like if a child is given, let's say, spinach, palak, and the child doesn't take it the first time, it doesn't mean that we don't. We have to try reintroducing it, maybe as palak paneer, maybe as palak paratha, maybe as palak raita, any or palak dosa, anyway, however you like it. And we also have to encourage the child. We need to talk to the child about the food. Okay, eating spinach gives you bright eyes, or carrots will make your skin glow, or like very positive reinforcement. It's very important for them to understand the benefits of why all of you are giving this to the little one. Okay, so that's important. And many a times we would see the children eat something new, or they smell it, or they spit it out. That's all normal behavior. That's their way of sensing a new thing introduced to the environment. So when they do that, it doesn't mean they hate what you put effort in making, or they don't like it. That is their way of accepting something new. So we have to be very patient when we introduce new foods. Okay, then as I said a little while ago, recruiting your child's help is important. So even when you go for grocery shopping, you go to the market, let them pick, tell them to pick the fruits they like or the vegetables they like. Let them assist you so that they feel there is a sense of responsibility. Okay, I picked this, I want to have this in what form. That curiosity builds. And they encourage them to go to the healthier sections also of these grocery stores. And they can start with smaller age, they can help with washing things like tomatoes. As they are older, they can stir the dosa batter or the besan chilla batter, pancake batter. Okay, and later, a little more older, they can even set the table, keep the plates and glass for everybody, carry the dish and keep it on the area where they're going to sit and eat. These little things really build healthy habits. Okay. Coming to the next thing, we have to make food fun, especially in that 1 to 5 years of age group. When they're older, they'll eat like how all of us eat. But when they are younger, we have to make it a little fun. So to make food fun, yes, one is we can do like these representative images here. You can make them a little, quirky with smileys and cutouts and shapes and stars and hearts and all of that. The other thing is, you can even use plates which are colored, color coded, or they have different segments in them, four segment plate, four section plate. So what happens is little of different foods we can put in those sections, and then they can pick what they like and Apo can eat that. That's important. Okay, and we also say that if the child is, let's say, fussy with vegetables, so you give the favorite dip or sauce. Like if the child likes a hunk curd dip, give that on the side. Or if the child really likes pudina chutney, give that on the side, like that. The other thing is, as I said, shapes. And the last one is some children I have seen in my practice over the years, they prefer breakfast foods for dinner. So children usually when they're young, they don't mind having idli at dinner or dosa at dinner or even upma at dinner. So it's fine if they want to have that. They don't have to get into the rigidity of having only chapati or only rice. If that option is available, you can rotate it throughout the week, like some days idli, some days chapati, so that they know that this is also healthy that way. Okay, so this is another way to make food fun. Then we say minimize distractions. So we always recommend eat at the table. Do not keep the TV or mobile or toys or books, anything during the eating time for growing children, because we want the entire brain focus to be on the food. Because food, especially in the initial years, are a huge space for sensory development, because there are so many textures and shapes and varieties in food, like what is wet, mushy, hard, grainy, all those things. So what happens is when a child continuously picks up and eats on their own, starts playing and mashing the food, putting both the hands into the plate, then there are a lot of signals going to the brain for development. Otherwise, the same children, we send them to school and then they're given sand or wet paint or flowers and petals to improve the sensory development. While food is one of the best ways to make them explore. Okay, so always eat at the table for an added benefit of sensory development. Okay, so no gadget rule is quite important in a household. There are plenty of studies coming out now which say how badly the gadgets can impact children in general cognitive development, as well as if we mix it during meal times. Okay, coming to the next thing. So this is something I tell a lot of moms and dads: don't be a short order cook. What I mean by that is, like, if you have planned a meal for the child, that is a meal for that particular time. If the child says, I don't want this, throws it, don't run immediately to the kitchen and make something else, because then we are going to enable or encourage the picky eating. We are giving a message that five things I make, all five, if you reject, I'll make something else. That's not very healthy, because it's not practical and sustainable in the long run to do every day. It is going to drain the energy out of the parents or whoever is preparing the food. So they need to understand that this is my meal and everyone's eating this and I also get to eat this. So this is, keep serving the healthy choices till they get familiar and slowly used to it. Okay, that's another way to prevent battles. And so, many places we say be sneaky, add purees into this veggie sauce, tomato, carrot sauce. Yeah, I mean, adding spinach, green peppers, all that to noodle sauce, pasta sauce is fine. But it's just that that should not be the only way you introduce a variety into the child's diet or vegetables into the child's diet. Like if palak you're always going to give only as a pasta sauce, that's not healthy. Then they'll not learn to know it comes in other forms like palak dosa, palak raita, palak paneer. We need to, once in a way, if you feel it many days it's gone without any intake, then you can do this little sneaky adding into the idli batter or pasta sauce, but it should not become a regular pattern. Okay, so variety of food is important. Next is we say that don't offer dessert as a reward. So most parents, when I speak to them in OPD, I do see that they say that if you finish this, I'll give you a cake. If you finish this, I'll give you a cookie. So what happens is that is kind of giving a message that what I've made is not so exciting or important, but that treat is very exciting. So the brain accepts it in a way that okay, that treat is more valuable than what is shared. We kind of creating a divide in their mind. So the best thing to do is that let them learn to eat what is offered, and you can have a reconceptualizing, or we can redefine what desserts or sweets mean for the children. So it can be even something like custard with fruit. It can be fruit pieces in yogurt put into popsicle molds or kulfi molds and set at home. It can be healthy. Dessert or sweets can be healthy as well. Or if you're someone who bakes, parents who bake at home can also make very good carrot cakes, walnut cakes, etc. at home, which will give them nutrition plus the excitement of something sweet. Okay, and we can always replace sugar with dates and monk fruit syrup and things like that. So that's about the dessert as a bribe. point. Now, just look at this image here. So, as parents, we feel when the children are younger, especially in toddler age group, we feel that this entire plate the child has to finish. But the child knows that the stomach capacity is that much. They are only able to take that much at one sitting, and that's fine. It's not important to focus on a large quantity. It is important to focus on a realistic tummy size quantity. What can a 2 year old handle at one sitting? What can a 4 year old handle at one sitting? That is important because otherwise they're going to feel uneasy. The digestion is going to be impaired. So, smaller bursts of food every 2 hours in this younger age group gives us better results rather than giving them a huge expectation and then force feeding them. Okay, that's one visual representation. Now, so can you see the difference between both the plates? So, from a very young child's perspective, as adults, this is a great meal for us, okay? But from a child's perspective, a little one sitting at the high chair might find that left side plate really overwhelming, like, oh my god, there's a lot to finish. How long will I be here? I have so much to play, so much to explore. But when you give them smaller manageable portions, then they are more open to trying it. It doesn't overwhelm them. So start with small portions. Of course, if they like it and they ask for more, we can serve, go on serving. That's fine. But start with very realistic portion sizes. Then here, so we say like the dessert thing which I told you, you can only have a cookie or sweet if you eat your lunch. But here we can reinforce that all of these are good for you. You can have all of it. It's not like we are not making one extremely positive, one extremely negative. We are like everything in the right balance is fine. So if you see here, 90% of the plate is fine, but that cookie may be the little treat kept alongside the regular foods. Okay. What I'm saying is not every meal to offer treat like that. When it becomes like it's been a week since they've had a treat or they're asking for it repeat, then this is the way to offer it, not only the biscuit by itself that way. Then, so here, if you look at all the plates, you'll just see basically what this slide is trying to say is if your child eats only specific foods, like they're used to, the left side image says they're used to the set pattern. But to break the monotony, we need to offer one new food alongside the preferred foods also. Like everything they like is there, but one item is replaced every day. So next to the strawberry, there's a broccoli coming in, then there's a cheese stick coming in. So what happens is whereas there is a sense of familiarity, there is also a new addition. So they are familiar, secure, comfortable, and open to try that little portion of a new food that's coming. That's a good way to introduce a new portion or new food into the meal. Comfort also has to be maintained. Okay. Next is, as I was telling you, the family meal times are very important. So we say that eating at home together really benefits, especially we see less eating disorders, better academic performance, better self-esteem, and better nutrition, and they learn about a variety of foods. Okay, so when we say make the most of family time, as I said, no gadget rule, a lot of conversation about their day, hearing from them. So that becomes a place of bonding and secure connection for the family. And it is important to eat with them. So, what most times in my practice I see is we try to feed the children separately, like a task. We don't involve them like adults along with us to eat. That can lead to them having a block or a hesitation in enjoying the meal times. But when they eat together as a family, they tend to enjoy the meals a little more. So try not to feed the children separately. That kind of isolates them. Try to eat together, okay? And yes, we can prepare the meals in advance, take their help in planning. And anyone, like I understand nowadays our lifestyles are busy, we barely get any time. So even if we can ensure weekend meals or once day a meal is shared together, that also has profound benefits for growing children. Okay, so we say that the family that eats together stays together. I'm sure most of you have heard of this famous quote. Yeah, coming to the next slide. So as I said, that even eating one meal a day definitely has very good emotional bonding for the child. And I understand due to societal changes, this has declined a lot. Everybody being busy and larger families have become nuclear families. So definitely there is disruption. But as I said, whatever is practically feasible, weekend meals or one meal a day, make it a point to eat with the child. So there are almost 35 years of research in this field, which clearly says that family meals boost both physical and emotional and mental health of the growing children. There are a lot of benefits like communication when we share a meal. It's relaxed, secure environment. Okay, they feel loved. There is curiosity in talking about the food made for that day. There's enjoyment, of course, if the food is yummy and the person who cooks makes it really well. Then there are traditions around festivals and meals shared, better self-esteem in children, and they have positive core memories attached to family meals as they grow up. So even now, when all of us look back, we will think of nice meals shared with our parents or grandparents or cousins as very core memories. Okay, so that's really important for our children as well. Okay, coming to the next part, we need to remember that the child doesn't have to finish or wipe off everything on the plate. As long as they are growing well, their milestones are achieved, and the pediatrician or the team has said, okay, height is okay, weight is okay, milestones are fine. You don't have to worry too much about finishing everything in the plate. We have to worry more about nourishing the child. Are we giving all the food groups? Okay. And if the child is a little picky or fussy, the habits won't change overnight. But with these small tips and points that I have shared here, definitely month on month you will start seeing a difference. Okay. And early beginnings are always better. The earlier we make them healthy, the earlier we involve them in healthy eating, the better results as they grow up we get. Okay, I'm not sure how many parents here have school age kids, but for those who are, what we say is try to get the kids involved in the process of packing their dabbas if they carry. Okay, some schools I know now provide, but if you are packing, then let them be part of what they want to take. So you can make a list of different food groups, and then you can ask your children what in those food groups, what all do they like under each food group. From that you can mix and match. So if they say this vegetable I like, this fruit I like, so once a week or twice a week, that favorite combination can be sent, or around that it can be planned. Then you mix and match as per what they require. So that's one important tip when we pack dabbas. In the next slide, I'm just going to show you a lot of healthy options. This is just if anybody just wants to, look or jot down or get ideas what to pack in a healthy dabba. So of course, lunch boxes and dabbas have evolved a lot from our time to now. Now children prefer a lot of easy to pick up and eat things and more compartments in the box, more colors, more shapes, more easy to pick up and eat things. So we have to try and pack it like that so that it's easier for them to eat, because just giving a big box of rice might be very tiring for them to finish. But if there is a little of let's say a cutlet and little rice and little fruit of their choice. So two, three food groups in a meal, then they're getting more nourishment also. So these are just some ideas. You can take a note of it. Okay. So as per your home habits, whether it's South Indian, North Indian, whether it's rice based, wheat based, there are a lot of options just compiled together for all of you to see. Okay. Yes. Now moving to the next part. So exercise is also important. So as dietitians, whenever we talk about healthy nutrition, it is essential we talk about activity as well, because as you know, the calories need to be utilized in a good way as well. So children who play outdoors or play games or have physical activity, whatever physical activity, maybe the exercises that is prescribed, it can be any movement of any form, helps the children to feel less stressed. The learning improves, the cognitive ability improves, the weight gets more steady when the activities and movements are there. The bones are stronger because the calcium deposition happens in a better way, and they sleep soundly or better at night as well. Okay, so we usually say, like how you have the food guide pyramid, you do of course have a pyramid for activity as well. This is just for you all to have a rough idea that there are certain things a child can do every day, like as I said, based on the age, based on the condition. So every day, simple things like walking or the exercises prescribed, that is one. As they grow, for active children, you can, you know, add more things like sports and other specific activities. But if you see the top of the pyramid, which is like a red alert, it says very less of sedentary lifestyle, very less of sitting continuously, TV, and all of that. Okay, so that's the exercise recommendation for kids. Moving to the next part. So the first part was entirely about the food habits, how to make them eat healthier, the food pyramid. Coming to the second part, which is a gut brain connection. So what is the gut microbiome? So our intestine, our gut is a complex system. Okay, it is having so many different trillions of bacteria and viruses and fungi. It's an ecosystem in itself where there are different microbes, and in a healthy individual, those populations are well balanced. Okay. And we also say that the digestive tract, the entire digestive tract, has its own neural network, the enteric nervous system, in technical terms, if we say, with over 500 million neurons, which keep sending signals to the brain and for different functions. So usually some scientists refer to it as a second brain. So that's what we say, the gut feeling, gut. We hear that a lot, right? So that comes from there. So the communication between the entire gut and the brain, it happens through, there's something called as a vagus nerve, which connects the gut to the brain. There are immune system messaging which goes from the intestine through different chemicals and pathways to the brain. There are a lot of these microbes, are constantly working, and they release a lot of chemical substances and other substances that also goes through circulation and sends signals to the brain and the body. And the hormones, different hormones released from the gut, from the brain, all are interconnected. It's a very, very complex network, I would call it in simple terms. Okay. So this, how they connect with each other, the gut and the brain, as I said, is one through the vagus nerve, from which connects your gut to the brain. Second is, as I said, through the immune system cells, and then a lot of neurotransmitters and compounds which are released from the gut, and the hormones can go through the bloodstream. So that's the explanation of that part. Now coming to the next part, what are the functions? Why is gut microbiota so important all of a sudden? We are all of us are hearing about it every other day in the news, right? So it has various functions. One is digesting food into simpler compounds. Then there are synthesis of vitamins that happen in the gut. Many vitamins get beautifully synthesized with the help of these microbes. Immune system is maintained by the gut. Like we all know, if our gut is not functioning very well, we fall sick more often. Our immune system is not at its best. Metabolism, how you break down nutrients, how you break down food calories, that is also dependent. Okay, protection from pathogens. So sometimes our own gut bacteria can protect us if we eat something or something not that great. It knows how to expel it or reject it. It's a way of protecting our own self from pathogens. Then in children, the gut microbiome goes significant development from birth onwards. So the 0 to 3 years is we what we call as a very critical window, and we need to understand that a lot of neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, GABA, all of this is released in the gut only, and that influences mood, focus, learning, not just for children but in adults as well. Okay, so those three, what do they impact is shown in the last three lines. Serotonin, basically, we call in simple words the happy chemical. This influences the mood, the social behavior, sleep, learning, and all that. GABA, that affects the calm brain activity, and it's very important for focus and emotional regulation. Any disruption in the amount of GABA released or received can cause a lot of behavioral disturbances also. And dopamine, very essential for motivation, attention. These are all critical for learning. So when a child is growing, all these in the right way secreted, utilized, helps in focus, learning, emotional regulation, cognitive abilities. So that's why gut becomes very important focus. Now, so we say clearly that studies have highlighted the window of birth to 3 years is very, very sensitive, as I was saying. So if you look here, so initially the prenatal period, the mother's microbiome also has an impact on the growing child. Then the mode of birth, whether it is vaginal, cesarean, that and gestational age, that also determines the amount of gut microbiota the child comes with. Then, as the child is an infant and growing, whether how much of antibiotics are they exposed to, what is the nutrition, the breast milk or the formula or the solid food, is it in the right proportion, is it given in the right healthy way to develop that gut bacteria, and of course the region where we live, the environment, pets around, Are we exposed to playing in the outdoors? Genetics, of course. There are a lot of factors that affect the gut microbiome. And by the time the child is about 3 years, when toddlerhood is complete, they have adult like gut microbiota. Till then, a lot of factors keep impacting it. So we call it the critical window of opportunity. Okay. Next slide. So as I said, what are the factors? Yes, mode of delivery, the feeds, the antibiotic use, the diet factors are important, what they eat. A child who eats more of whole foods, more fruits, vegetables, and very less of, ultra processed sugary foods have better bacterial composition in the gut than a child who's entirely or largely on processed foods. There is a study mentioned there which showed us that. Environmental factors, as I said, whether you're in the rural area, whether in the cities, whether you play with pets, whether you play outside in the outdoors, all this also impacts. So definitely children who live, closer to nature definitely have better gut microbiota. So these are just few things from years of studies that has been found out. Okay, so this is again the same thing about how perinatal factors affect. So this is just a summary of what I spoke till now. Okay. Yes. Coming to the next part. So, what is a connect? So, there is a very intricate relationship between the brain development, nutrition, and the gut. Okay. Because there are a lot of studies showing that it does have implications for child behavior and cognitive function. Okay. So, what we say here, as I told you about the key neurotransmitters, they are all released from the gut and they have specific role to play, and any effect anywhere, either in the nutrition or in the gut or in the brain, it can have an interplay which can disturb this fine balance. So we need to look at it very carefully when we talk to children. Okay. Next is, there are certain signs of gut brain dysfunction, which experts can pick up and tell you. It is not for us to self diagnose, it is not for us to attribute everything to gut brain dysfunction. The treating team of your pediatric team would tell you if there is any warning signs of gut brain dysfunction. So we should be alert, especially if there's too much of tummy issues, digestive discomfort, bloating, stomach aches, constipation, too many food allergies, sensitivities, irregular bowel movements, falling in too often, immunity being compromised, skin issues, flare ups. Usually skin flare ups happen when the gut there is a dysfunction, severe sleep disturbances. And behavioral and cognitive signs, usually over time, under research, we put it as mood swings or volatility, brain fog, feeling difficult to concentrate on tasks, and even the academic performance varies. Also, fatigue, worry, or anxiety. So this can be diagnosed once we take a complete history as a team. So your treating doctor, the treating therapist, the dietitian, we all together and we understand is this contributing to it, then yes, definitely we can address it. Okay. Correcting nutrition is a huge part of overall health for the child. Now, there are certain neurological symptoms which I mentioned in the previous thing in the, behavioral signs. So sometimes memory issues, staying asleep too much or difficulty falling asleep, low tolerance to stress, anxiety, difficulty with concentration. All these are, whatever I've listed down here is sometimes related to the dysfunction. So first we have to rule out that we have a certain way of ruling out what could be the cause. But if you see any of these, it is good to discuss with your pediatrician or your pediatric dietitian what can be done from a nutrition perspective after checking with the doctor. Okay. Now, so the impact of stress and anxiety on children's gut health. So this, that, as I said, the gut can also impact, the brain can also impact the gut. So we say that the child is too nervous or stressed. The information goes to the gut from the brain, and then they feel very uncomfortable. So we usually say, the children say, I'm abdominal pain, tummy is not okay, I don't want to go to school, things like that. So then we need to understand what is the correlation, what is happening. Okay, and sometimes if we don't address these constant gut issues, constant worry and gut interplay, then it can become like they consistently have a low appetite, or they will have recurrent complaints of tummy pains. They could have too much of nausea, rejection of food, diarrhea, or constipation, which becomes resistant to treatment, especially constipation. Diarrhea, okay, it still settles down, but we see a lot of constipation cases which don't settle for really long, and then we try to correlate why. Okay, so all this can lead to nutritional deficiencies if we don't find the correlation early on. So that's another thing of the connect. Next is, yes, so there is, this is all emerging field. Let me be very clear here. So there is a lot of new age, recent years studies being done on neurodevelopment disorders and how the gut microbiome impacts. So in autism spectrum disorder, gut dysbiosis is now, reports are showing, research is showing that certain types of bacteria help, certain types of bacteria are considered not that very good if it's in dominance. It's all emerging research. Okay, and if dysbiosis means there is a imbalance in the type of gut bacteria, so that can lead to disruptions in the way neurotransmitters are released. And in ASD, when the neurotransmitters are not released, as we know, mood regulation, cognitive function, social behavior, all can get impacted. So definitely there is research emerging, and we need to sit back and read and watch for the, look out for the new things coming out daily. Okay, same thing for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder also. We do see that dysbiosis can reduce the production of dopamine and serotonin. Again, it can affect the mood or the behavior. And also sometimes it reduces the short chain fatty acids. What we call it SEFA, written here, is a short chain fatty acid, a type of fatty acid which is required for brain health. Now, sometimes that mess up of good and bad bacteria in the gut can lead to a reduction of that, and that also can lead to attention and cognitive dysfunction. So, any inflammation caused by a unhealthy gut or a mismatch of good bacteria or a lack of good bacteria does impact ADHD. So, there are studies coming out, and we can, as I said, always speak to our treating consultants and then understand it better. Cognition, as I said, we all know it has a direct connect. There is a lot of research showing that imbalanced gut microbiome, leads to language development issues, attention difficulties, and certain functions. So there was one study which I have just mentioned where school-age children revealed a strong connection between the IQ testing and the gut microbiome composition. So the study was done in detail where they kind of, I think, took samples of the stool, and they studied the microbiota present in it to understand what varieties are dominant, and then they over a period of time correlated with the IQ questionnaires and charts that we use typically to assess, and they came to a conclusion that it does have a connection. So, as I said, much more research is emerging in this field for us to get totally convinced, and we are getting there. And many case studies also demonstrate how the gut health, if it improves, automatically the attention improves, lesser anxiety, better language process. So there was another study done where they looked at these points, and like for 8 weeks, 12 weeks, they put the children on a healthier, balanced, more fruit, veggie, probiotic kind of a diet, and they observed, and they saw that there were changes in the behaviors and focus. So that study was also done. So the critical window is, as I said, birth to 3 years. It is a sensitive window, and where interventions may be effective, where if we have understood the gut is disturbed. Yes, as I said, future research is needed more and more to clarify effective treatments for specific disorders. Like as I told you about ADHD and ASD, we need to get specific guidelines, how much, what, when to introduce. So still research is on. Okay, and ideally, we would reach a point where these disorders also can be prevented rather than treated down the lane. As research emerges, a lot of focus shifts to preventive mechanisms rather than just treatment. Okay, so as all of us who handle children as parents or caregivers or therapists or doctors, it is important to understand this window of 0 to 3 years. We have to keep in mind is very important to pay attention to the gut. Okay, yes, and how to support gut health. Now, I have told you what happens, why it happens, what all is happening, but how do you support? So, there are a lot of ways to support healthy gut. One is your diverse foods and fermented foods, lifestyle factors, sometimes targeted supplements. So, one by one, if I have to go, lifestyle factors will probably fall into sleep quality, has a huge effect on the gut. Physical activity is important form of any exercise advice for the child. Stress management for children. So I know that couple of years back, we wouldn't have heard about stress and children, the word going together. But in today's times, this is becoming more probably because of the various factors at the speed at which the world is evolving. There is stress in children too. So we have to look at techniques to manage that in young age also. They have to increase time in nature. It helps a lot for the good gut ecosystem. So that's lifestyle factors. Dietary approaches. So there is a study which says that the more variety you rotate throughout the week, more plant food, it really takes care of the good bacteria in your gut. So a child having too less fiber, too less vegetables will definitely have a gut disturbance than a child who eats a lot of vegetables throughout the week, different types. And one professor from Stanford actually says 30 different plant foods weekly. So in different meals and different days of the week, if you can use the different plant foods. And when I say plant foods, that can be things like sprouts, dals, it can be the green leafy, the beans, anything, any plant-based food rotated over a period of this week. Okay. And fermented foods, yes. So things like yogurt, curd, fermented ganji. So in India, all our regions, we have the rice ganji, which is fermented overnight, and we add onion and curd to it in the morning. So it's called different by different names in different regions, like Pakhalabad or Paranganji, we call it. That is very good for the gut. So a little bit along with the breakfast for all of us and the children will really help to keep the gut healthy. Of course, there are newer things like kefir and tempeh, from soya, all those things which are available, which, yes, widely in cities, if you can get, no harm in including that also in the diet because they contain live bacteria. And yes, as I said, the first point, plant foods, then fiber rich foods need to be there. As I said, fiber rich foods doesn't mean only vegetables. It can be legumes, nuts, seeds, whole grains, all of that, everything with fiber intact. And we say consider an elimination diet only if the treating doctor or the allergy specialist or the pediatrician feels that something is driving the inflammation more, like dairy or gluten, only if it can be established that yes, this is causing an issue. Simply eliminating food groups on our own without professional guidance is not recommended for parents to do. Okay, so if you work with the team and they feel that something is triggering it more, sugary foods trigger something more, wheat every time the child takes there's a reaction, or dairy, then we eliminate, not just like that. Okay, and we have to reduce ultra processed foods, not just for adults but for children also, especially things with a lot of artificial preservatives, colors, refined sugar are considered very, very bad for development, for digestion, for growth. There's sufficient study. So like here below on the last line you see, so there was a study which was released in 2020, which says that children who switch from a highly processed diets like cereals and chips and breads and things like that to whole foods, showed improvement in just 8 weeks in the working memory and attention. So that's how much the change in diet, healthy diet, can impact the brain function. This is just one study. There are many out there like that. Okay, and the last one is just a few gut healthy ideas. So as I mentioned, curd and buttermilk, I think in Indian diets, all of us included, if you are vegan, you even can make curd from, like almond milk or from coconut milk or from peanut milk. There is peanut curd, there is coconut curd. There is a lot of vegan curd also available in the market now. So, but if you have the regular curd and buttermilk, please include in your child's diet on a daily basis. So in India, we have a lot of myths, saying it causes cold and cough, and those are actually myths. There is no scientific evidence to simply stop giving curd and buttermilk, okay, unless the child is really allergic to it and is hypersensitive, which is a very small population in my years of practice that I've seen. So if it's room temperature curd, please include yogurt, as I said, dairy or non-dairy sources, fermented pickled vegetables. So earlier days, we used to store mangoes or cucumbers or carrots in vinegar or fermented liquids that can still be brought back, and a small piece of those fermented vegetables can be taken in our diets to build the gut bacteria. Now, in the new age, in the cities, the sourdough bread is something which all of us are hearing about. Sourdough bread may be a little better than your regular bread if your child likes sandwiches and all. It might have a little bit of the live culture still intact in the last stages. So, sourdough bread is worth experimenting. And as I told you, the overnight fermented rice kanji. Okay, and other new age foods like kefir, tempeh, soft cheeses, the soft ones, not the hard cubes and all, the very soft feta and all that. Kombucha is a fermented drink, but we understand that it's tea based, so not for very young children. It can be for little older kids, but not for very young children because it contains tea. So tea coffee is not something we recommend routinely for children. Okay, so and when we talk about probiotic foods, this list, it is important to understand for probiotics to work in the intestine or the gut, there has to be fiber, fruits, vegetables, whole grains. So that's called as prebiotics. So it's something like when the probiotics are coming in, the prebiotics need to be there for it to actually work. So together, balanced diet. That's why the food pyramid, the food groups every day becomes really important in simple words. That's it. And the last part is just a closing note on targeted supplements. So sometimes when diet is insufficient or the intake is badly impacted, very poor, then the doctors may decide to advise supplements like probiotics or prebiotics or omega-3 fats or digestive enzymes based on a case specific basis. All children might not need to take supplements of all these four things. It is specifically decided by the treating team and then we add it in some cases. Okay. That's about the targeted supplements. Thank you. That's how I end the presentation. Now I will, take help of Gauri ma'am to answer any doubts any of you may have. This is my email ID if you want to take a note of it. Thank you, everybody, for patient listening.
So that was a good session. If anybody wants, they can unmute and directly ask your questions. Mr. Arun Kumar, do you want to ask your question? Unmute and ask. So the question is there any way we can check gut microbiome health of a child?
Yeah, that's quite an interesting question. So, see, there are tests and emerging tests that are coming out now where they test the stool, and but it is not routinely, advised or prescribed because, as I said, we will come to know there will be certain signals from which we come to know if there is gut disturbances like chronic constipation or gut disturbances. So, from a physical assessment itself, we can understand a lot about the gut only if we feel something's not solving with correcting the diet, with adding probiotics, then we can explore these tests which are available to test the stool. But it's not routinely advised to go into it. Yeah, ma'am, would you agree with me on that?
Yes, so when we are doing any test or investigation, we need to know with doing that as a consequence, what are we going to do? Can we make
Yes,
a change with it? So
correct.
right now, as Ms. Abhilasha has mentioned, sorry, use with caution because these are all emerging right
Yes,
now. So we really don't know even what, when we get these reports, what to do, what exactly will help and change.
correct,
Okay.
correct.
So, and sometimes it can be very daunting and cause more anxiety among you and the
True.
children rather than helping. That is why, when it is necessary, when it is really bad, it may be advised, but not routinely.
Correct.
It is not necessary at this point, with what we know.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. Yes.
So, the other question, anybody who wants to unmute and talk? Okay, you can raise your hand so we will know. There was another question from people registered online. They were talking about immunity boosting.
Mm,
It seems that child had Guillain-Barré syndrome
mm,
5 years ago, and now they're looking if there are any diet to kind of work on immunity. And
okay.
we do hear this a lot.
Yes.
What can we give to boost the
Yes,
immunity?
ma'am. This is a very common question from
Yes.
all the parents I've interacted with over the years. Yes. So, see, what we need to understand about immunity is different factors. One is, of course, the entire, probiotic and the gut being healthy and immunity being 75% in the gut. That is definitely there. Yes, we've covered it. But there's also a host of other balance of nutrients, like is protein intake good? Is your zinc good? Is, other micronutrients which are important, iron state is good. All these also contribute to immunity. So it is not only a probiotic, there's also zinc, there's also iron, there's also protein intake. Is it adequate? Because all of that together builds the immune system of the child, not one particular food alone or one superfood alone. So that is why any dietitian, any pediatric dietitian you speak to, they will talk about a balanced diet, all food groups, for reinforcing that balance. Yeah,
Correct. It is all about a balancing act,
correct, correct. Because then only
including
zinc comes
everything,
in, protein comes
variety.
in, yes, vitamin C comes in, yes.
Yes,
Of course, D3 also for immune modulation, vitamin D3, yes.
correct. So, I think when you were mentioning about fruits, vegetables, and along with sauces, I think it was good that you mentioned things like pudina chutney or
Yes,
things like that than the actual sauces. So, what
yes.
is your take on the mayonnaise and sauces that are available, ketchups?
Yeah, that's a good question, ma'am. So now the thing is, yes. So mayo, it can be, healthy if we are actually doing it at home. So if we actually build it with vinegar and egg and oil at home, it's okay. It's not bad because children do need egg, they do need fat. So mayonnaise homemade is okay. But the ones with too many preservatives, additives, that may not be advisable. Same thing applies for ketchup also. So now we have a lot of these websites and channels which give us healthy ketchup, how it can be made at home rather than going for the packaged one. So actually there was this interesting forward or a news that I saw where how the original ketchup was when it was made and how over the years it has been topped up with so many chemicals and additives. The original ketchup was just puree of tomato sauce with maybe a little salt and sugar, but not exactly with so many colors and stabilizers and additives. So it all depends on what kind. If you can do it at home, nothing like it, but go for the minimal additives, minimally chemically altered ones available. That's my opinion on sauces, ma'am. Yeah.
So, yes, I think it is always good to check the labels.
Yes, very
So
important to
any
do.
alphabets and numbers on it is all preservatives.
Yes, yes.
So
And
that
the
is
bigger
something
it
to
becomes, more worrying it is. That
correct
box, if
the
it's
bigger
bigger.
list.
Yes,
And again in sugar, natural sugar, added
correct.
sugar is
True.
very
We have to
important.
read that. Yes, ma'am.
So Dr. Deepa, do you want to unmute and ask your question directly?
Do you want me to read answer that, ma'am?
I can, yeah. So
Sure.
Dr. Deepa is asking about association of gut and autoimmune disorders.
Yeah. So there is a lot of correlation. Like if we sit down and read the literature, there is definitely an association. If there is dysbiosis, if there is an alteration in the concentration of good bacteria, yes, it can cause a lot of autoimmune disorders, especially with respect to skin. Okay, so we have seen that there are studies supporting that. So it is important to maintain a healthy intake, look at probiotics, check with your treating doctor of autoimmune disorder if they want to add probiotic in their treatment protocols because they would also be having the latest guidelines. So it is worth exploring to correct it with better support from the doctor. Yes.
Uh, I'm not sure whether they're asking whether the autoimmune disorders can be caused due to gut or is there specific diets or specific inclusions
Hmm.
with children with autoimmune
Yes, I think
disorders.
association probably meaning could it be a cause? Could it be a reason for a
Correct.
flare up? It could be. Definitely, there is literature supporting that it does cause, especially a lot of food intolerances, something that you would have had for years together. Suddenly, your body starts rejecting it, and then we when put people on protocol of strengthening the gut, changing the foods given, they actually we reintroduce those foods back and they accept it. So yes, we have seen it in multiple conditions and association. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh. So the other question is it good to give cheese for kids?
Yeah, so cheese, you have like a lot of types in the market. So anything again heavily loaded with sodium and that needs to be avoided. But you do get healthier cheese, especially the soft cheeses and all are more simpler compositions. So those can be given. But anything too much ultra processed, we don't recommend on a regular basis. Yeah.
Okay. And so basically, again, too much processed, refined,
Yes, it all
processed
comes
foods.
down to yes.
So I think how much ever we reiterate on that is not enough.
Especially in today's time, very tough to keep away from processed. Yes, ma'am.
Correct, correct. It's so easily available and
True,
cheaper as well.
true, true. That's the issue.
Correct. The other question now is what can be an indicator of allergy which is easily dismissed?
Okay, so if you're referring to food allergies, see, food allergies can manifest in different ways. It can be skin, it can be respiratory, it can be gut reaction. So if you see frequently that after eating a particular food, the child is reacting the same way. Like I have a lot of parents tell me every time egg is given, there's a specific set of reactions. Then, okay, that can be an indicator. Or if the child takes lactose and every time definitely has a tummy that's upset or reacts, then we can say it's an indicator. But there are some allergies which do not give very outward symptoms, which stay very subtle in the gut, that may show up as a low hemoglobin or some food absorption issues or deficiencies. That's how we find out basically. That might require little years of observation in some cases. So that's why if we suspect something that's underlying, we do refer to a food allergy specialist as well. Yeah.
So they are, I think, when we are talking about test and investigations, I think this is where we can really check when the necessity is there
Correct.
for
Correct.
allergy. It's skin test, sometimes they may do blood test for it. And when we pick up certain things, you can, like you say,
Correct.
eliminate it and see the
True.
difference.
True. True.
Okay.
That's true. Yes.
Yes. So nowadays, everybody seems to be an expert on social media, and you see a lot of
Yes,
things
ma'am.
going around. So recently, I came across this that you're taking probiotics, but most
Hmm.
of it is actually the microbes are killed in the stomach. So when we are
Yeah.
talking about kefir or even
Yeah.
the market available probiotics,
Correct. Correct.
and again, your comment on buying probiotic drinks and
Yeah.
having. So, what is
Yeah.
your take on those?
Okay. So, like you said, ma'am, very rightly, as you said, a lot of the regular, bacteria, because of the stomach acids, get destroyed in concentration by the time they reach the intestine or the large intestine. That is why it is important to have a wide variety of these throughout the week. And some of these formulations available in the market, if you read carefully, add various strains, multiple strains, which may be heat resistant or acid resistant. They are formulated in such a way that they can survive through the GI tract. So some of these are researched and made in a way that can survive until it reaches the gut. So I think if it's a well-researched company with enough papers to support, then we don't mind recommending those probiotic drinks. But not just any ice cream that says probiotic or any candy, not that way. It has to be very specific research-backed companies which we rely on. Yeah.
Yes. And again, these probiotic drinks are expensive. It is not necessary. Rather, we spend that money on the natural ways and get it going, and you are not dependent on something external. Okay. So there's one more question. Is it okay to give a combination of nuts powder rather than individual nuts? So I think it's a mixture of different nuts or individual.
Correct. Okay, so to answer Raki's query here, see, the whole point here is the age of the child matters. So when we introduce solids between 6 to 12 months, we usually start one at a time so that the system handles it, is sensitized to it. We don't give a mixture at one go. They could have severe allergic reactions. So age is one factor. But if they are above 1, 2, 3 years, you can give a mix. They easily take it. So you can make the nut powder at home and put it into the milk or into the kheer that you're going to give, or you can make dry fruit laddus, you can make energy bars made at home. No problem. You can definitely mix it all up. No harm if the child is older. Yes.
Yes. So I think that answers where you're querying the child is not ready to take whole nuts. So in the powder
Yes.
form, you can add it to various food
Correct.
forms and give it to your child.
Correct.
Okay. The next question is very interesting, the peer pressure.
Yes, I just saw
Okay,
that.
so very good question, Ms.
Mhm.
Hema. Restricting processed food after the kids start school is getting harder because of friends eating them. So
Yes.
any advice?
No, that's a valid question, and it's something I think we also struggle with sometimes, so I can understand. But see, the whole point here is okay, there are some things that we can control, and there are some things we can't control. So, what we need to focus on is, as parents, the meals, the foods that we can control, make sure you keep it as whole foods. Now, beyond that circle, once in a way they take little bit, we really can't go and now snatch it and not make them have it. But while they are with us in the home on weekends for breakfast and dinner, give them whole foods. Don't stock it at home. That's the best way to strike the balance because we can't completely hide them from it. That's not practical. Yeah.
Yes, once in a while is okay, is the key. And again, like how Miss Abhilasha went through the way of making it interesting and taking it on. So when the child is involved in it, they tend to make their own decision, then it is good. When you are dictating it to them, it doesn't work as well. So when you are kind of using those practices, what she has highlighted will help with this. And yes, if you find in the school it is happening a lot, it is something a problem, and you need to approach the school and say, because many schools these days put restrictions on what the children can get and not get, and this is a major problem with the peer pressure. Looking at
Correct.
them, they may get excluded, they feel left out, but if they feel it is okay, they can do what they want. I'm okay, I will eat
Correct.
this. That has to come within the child. So
True.
the peer pressure now can be in school. Later, when they grow up, teens, older, also, this is going to be there. So if they know how to handle it as a young child, I think it is a important skill to have. But yes, in your parents groups, WhatsApp groups, it's
Yes.
always good to bring these things up and discuss, put out what the harmful effects is.
True. True.
That is a major problem we are all
Yes,
facing.
ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Okay, the next question is on the milk. Which milk is good to give for kids? Packet milk or direct cow milk from the area?
That's a
I think
tricky
this is
one.
multi-layered.
It's multi-layered, exactly. It's a tricky one, but in my practice, what I advise is very simple. If you can, have access to milk that is certified antibiotic or hormone free, that is the safest bet for children. But because when you take it from direct cow milk, you don't know how that animal is nurtured or kept, or are they injected with antibiotics or hormones for making more money, business. We don't know. So if you're very sure it's a proper nutty cow and it's grazing in the fields and the milk's coming to you, that's fine without any human intervention. But if it is just like what happens in factories where they're injected, then you need to be careful. So there's no direct answer about packet or cow's milk. I would urge parents to look at words like antibiotic free, hormone free as a better guiding factor. Yeah.
So, yes, that is very important because these days the milk,
Yeah.
the cows, the way it is produced
Yes.
is itself causing problems. So actually,
Correct.
when we say what gluten free or dairy free, when we're talking dairy free,
Yeah.
this is the problem. It's
Correct.
not the
True, ma'am.
real milk that is the
True.
problem. So if you're getting it in a natural, most natural form, so any food, most natural form is the best.
Exactly.
And again, when you're getting it directly, also, you need to make sure you're heating it up well, boiling
Yes.
it before you using, because packet milk, they all come pasteurized.
Correct.
and
Correct.
these don't come, so all the harmful
Pathogens and yes,
yeah
yes, ma'am.
needs to be killed. Okay.
Yes.
So so this is more specific. My child's age is 7 years. He has ADHD. Is any gut test required to do, ma'am?
So, ma'am, I think you are the right person to answer this more than me. Yes, ma'am.
I think in the session you have covered it.
Yeah,
And whenever any child neurodivergent or not, it is very important to look at the whole lifestyle
correct,
together.
correct,
So using those principles of to help improve the quality of the diet, cutting down all the chocolate, sugary
correct,
things, processed food, junk, and introducing a variety of different foods with different category nutrition. Once
right.
you do all this, if there is still
Yes,
persistent problems, approach your doctor and then they will guide you if any tests are required.
correct,
Because there are certain medical conditions also where gluten needs to be excluded and things.
correct.
And again, they are very complex, and where
Yes,
children are being so picky these days, if you take out gluten, it is a really
true,
difficult task. So
true,
only unless required, these things have to be done. So in spite of putting these things, what you're taking away from the session, if it is persisting, meet your doctor and they will direct you what is
correct,
specifically needed for your child.
correct, correct. That's true, ma'am. I agree. Instead of directly going for the testing, absolutely.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so blanket test, what they do for
Yeah,
low cost and everything, it can cause more problems than things. So always talk to your doctors before getting any
true,
test done.
true. I agree. Otherwise, there's a lot of anxiety that builds up unnecessarily, seeing the results. Like it might say 20 foods, you're sensitive to all of it. And then what do you eat? What do you eat? So, it's very important. Unless really required, not needed to go routinely. Yes.
I think that is important when you say sensitive. So it could be because there is not much pre or probiotic, the
Correct.
gut thing is not there. So when you're introducing healthy in a healthy manner,
Yes.
cooking it properly and eating, all these sensitivities may also disappear, right? If I'm
Exactly.
not wrong.
Exactly, ma'am. Absolutely. So first we have to really look at correcting the eating habits, the food habits at home, and then if issues are persisting, as ma'am said, it's okay to go for an analysis. But being on a processed food diet, very low fruit vegetable intake, or not changing the oils to cold pressed, highly inflammatory markers, then if we go, everything is gonna feel inflamed in the report. So yeah.
Yes, the inflammatory markers are a big
Yes, ma'am.
marketed strategy.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So, any other questions, anyone? Anything, Miss Abhilasha, you want to add as a
On a closing note, I would like to say thank you, ma'am, for this opportunity. It was great being online for this session, and thank you everyone who's taken our time on a weekday evening to log into this session. Thank you for your patient listening. And on a closing note, I would just like to tell all the parents who are here on this call today that go back to whole foods, home foods as much as possible, because that is the future of healing or of good health, because even the entire medicine community is looking at preventive rather than treating now. So food is one of the best ways to heal the system. So if we can go to whole foods, ancient cooking practices, back to our basics, roots, it will really heal us from the inside. So that's all I would like to say on a closing note to everyone.
yeah. Uh, so thank you everybody for joining us. I think the way you've done the session, Miss Abhilasha, was really nice, simple, but key
Thank you, ma'am.
points were delivered very well. And the way you kind of put everything together. So we have to see a child holistically. So you
Yes.
included that physical activity, and there are many factors because nowadays the gut brain axis is a big
Yeah. Yeah.
word being used. So
Yes.
just that is not just the cause. So they
Correct.
could be the screen time also, as I felt, the
Correct.
way. the environment is, the stress, everything together puts in. So
True.
you have to work on your child on a holistic basic. You have to
Correct.
look at all the factors.
Correct.
So each factor has its own effect. And yes, there is lot of research happening, lot of things coming out. A lot of it is myth. So don't
Yeah.
go by whatever is coming out. There
And
is a lot of marketing strategies also involved. So, as Miss Abhilasha said, stick to your roots.
yes,
The more fresh, the better.
yes.
The less refined, the better.
And please rely on medical experts, hospital dietitians for your nutrition advice, not Instagram
Yes,
influencers or
exactly.
people with channels and no certification. Because we spend considerable years studying the impact of nutrition on the human health. It's not something we can make up in 2 months or 3 months. So that's my advice to all parents. Don't get misled or misguided by non-experts. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Miss Abhilasha, for being here and giving
Yeah.
us the talk. And thank you all the audience for coming in and actively participating. The
Yes.
questions were great. So we are taking away a lot of things from here.